I never get enough sleep. I stay up late at night because I'm night guy. Night guy wants to stay up late. What about getting up after 5 hours sleep? Oh, that's morning guy's problem. That's not my problem. I'm night guy. I stay up as late as I want. So you get up in the morning, you're warm, you're exhausted, groggy. Oh, I hate that night guy. See, night guy always screws morning guy. There's nothing morning guy can do. The only thing morning guy can do is try and oversleep often enough so that day guy loses his job and night guy has no money to go out anymore.
All right. Hey, welcome to day 24, you amazing amazers. You amazingness people. Great to see ya. Great to be seen. And I showed that clip not just to date myself, but Jerry Seinfeld. That's one of my favorite little parts of one of his monologues, one of his bits about this morning guy, night guy kind of thing. I used this when my kids were younger and they lived with me at home. We would always talk about night guy versus morning guy because I don't expect everyone to always be a morning person, but it usually involves, and if you're not doing well in the morning, it's usually because night guy had a say in it. That night guy is the one that kind of makes all the bad decisions. Like, night guy is invincible. Night guy can stay up really late. Night guy can watch TV as much as he wants. Night guy can drink lots of alcohol late at night, can party, and then morning guy has to pay the price for it all the time. So if my kids would stay up, late playing video games or something like that, and they would disobey me and not go to bed like when they were supposed to, they always paid the price for it, and I always kind of enjoyed them paying the price for it because I am morning guy, and morning guy does not like night guy. They are in conflict with each other. And I thought that was kind of appropriate to show as we're talking about the morning routine today. I talked a little bit about this yesterday, and I probably kind of blew it. I probably should have saved all of that for yesterday. But there was probably some other things that I didn't touch on yesterday that you can glean from today. But I really do believe that what you do in the first parts of the day will really set up the rest of your day for success. And a lot of experts believe that your morning routine is so valuable and important that you do the things that are going to not just make your day better, but are going to help you be an optimal human being. It's really like it's when willpower of the day is usually highest. It's where you should feel the most refreshed, assuming that night guy isn't ruling you. You want morning guy to rule night guy, right? By the way, this is not gender specific. If you're a woman, night girl or morning girl, that it works as well too. I hope you got that. But what's the first thing you did this morning? What was the first thing you did? Hopefully you didn't peel your eyes off the pillow, and the first thing you did was grab your phone and start scrolling on media, or you didn't turn on the TV and start watching news, or you didn't go to open your laptop and flip on the news to kind of see what transpired during the night. Hopefully you're doing something or some things during the morning that are going to not start your day with a blast of bad news and negative thinking. At worst and at best, there are just some things that maybe we do that really aren't helping us. And that is the time of the day to get them done, to do the things that are going to set you up to win, that are going to make you feel great physically, mentally, spiritually, all that kind of stuff. So that's what we're going to be talking about a little bit today. You might think, well, I don't really have a morning routine, or maybe a supportive, healthy routine, but we all have one. We've talked about this a lot, that we all have things that we do by routine, and a morning routine. I mean, you probably do the very same thing every single day when you wake up, whether you know it or not. And a lot of habits experts have said that like 98% of the things that we do are just subconscious habits. That's kind of crazy. We think that we're so autonomous and we do all these things by our choice, but man, so much of that is our own programming, our own habits, and we're just so unconscious about most of them that we just kind of go through life doing things. And sometimes if we don't stop and examine that for what it is, we can realize, man, those things can be harmful or detrimental to us, or things that aren't supporting our health journeys. And so it's really good to sometimes take stock and take a little bit of inventory and step back from that and say, okay, what can I do today to get in the habit to prioritize, in this case, a morning routine, things that I can do to begin to move the needle forward in our health journeys. So we all have one, but whether it serves you, and whether it honors you, that's a whole nother topic, right? So that's what we have to take inventory on. Is our routine, because we all have one, is our morning routine serving us? Is it honoring us? Is it setting us up to win for the most part? It's not going to happen every single day, but is it just 9 times out of 10, the majority of the time, is it setting you up to win? Is it helping you? Is it motivating you? Is it building into you so you will have something to pour out? The phrase that we've talked about a lot here in this group, that you can't pour from an empty cup. If your cup is empty at the start of the day, how much good are you going to be to yourself and to others for the rest of the day? Probably not very well. So it's really important that you kind of fill up your cup at the first part of the day before all the demands are placed on you by other people or by things like a job that might be out of our control or something like that. But if you are, and I think it kind of starts the night before. So, you think, well, maybe I don't really have a morning routine because I don't like being, a morning guy. I don't know how many of you guys are morning people. I used to not be a morning person. I am a total, crazy morning person now. And it's not because I'm so disciplined or anything like that. I can be night guy if I want to be, but I would just have to change my schedule. I can't be both. That right? And so you can't be morning guy and night guy. And you can't be morning girl and night girl. You got to kind of pick one. I suggest you pick the morning one to rule the roost because a lot of reasons. We've talked about the one about gazing at the sun and getting your circadian aligned. It's just, I think it's better for us as a rule of thumb to be awake when the sun's out and to be asleep when the sun's down, as just a very general rule of thumb. There are some other studies that have come out lately that I don't really know what to think about. It might be kind of early in these studies, but it talked about hey, if you're a night person, it's just because there's something hardwired in you that maybe if you are more of an ancestral health guy, which I am, that you might have just been biologically wired to watch over the camp at night. When everyone else is sleeping, you're sort of like a protector. And I don't know how much I buy into that, because I think a lot of us don't need to be protectors of the tribe to watch over saber-toothed tigers and warring tribes from us. Hopefully we don't need half or 75% of the population to be night guys for that reason. I don't know what the breakdown is. That could be actually valid science. I have no idea. But for most of us, I think it's a really good practice to be alive and awake when the sun is rising, and when the sun is setting is to be going into night mode. And so try not to do both. That's when we're getting into trouble. It's okay, I want to do all the things at night. I want to stay up late. I want to watch, 3 more episodes of Saved by the Bell reruns. And I want to, stay up late drinking. And I want to play video games. It's the only time I have alone because, my kids go down to sleep at 8. So my time between 8 and 11:30 or 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning, that's my time. But what if we just switched that? What if we just made your morning time me time? Because that's what it is. Let's talk about that in a little bit. But a morning routine can really help you, again, just kind of win the day ahead. Because here's how I look at it. I mean, we've talked a lot about willpower and how to kind of get around willpower when it comes to our food choices, and how can we eliminate willpower by setting up our environments to win. We talked about that on day 1, the most important day of all. But life is tough. Life is really, really tough. You know this. You know this full well. You might have a job, a career. It might just be daddy or mommy duties. It might be grandma, grandpa duties. Life is hard and it requires so much output of us. And so again, if we're not inputting, we're just an empty cup. And so we got to be at our best here. That's why, not just today what we're talking about, but the whole month of these health topics, it's so important for us because we got to be at our best, because it requires so much of us. Life requires us to be successful in life. And I'm not talking in terms of dollars, that could be part of it, but just in terms of being a successful, happy, thriving, optimized human being, we have to output a lot. And the only way we're going to be able to output a lot is making sure that we're getting a lot of inputs in, a lot of the good inputs in that are helping us thrive as human beings. So I think a morning routine can really help you. It can set up your day to win. It can just infuse life into you so you have something to pour out, because life is tough. It demands a lot of us. All right. So I gave you my morning routine. I just use this as an example. I kind of thought, well, should I talk about what I did minute by minute, and does that make me sound like some kind of crazy, disciplined morning person? So if you can just kind of get away from that for a second, because you don't have to adopt any of that. But maybe that's helpful for some people to say, oh, you know what? Oh, I think that gave me an idea. Maybe I can improve on that. Maybe I need to read a book. I mean, I love reading, but I just never have time to do it. Well, maybe you prioritize that at the first part of your day where willpower is highest, where the demands of your to-do list haven't kicked in yet, that reading could be important to you. Again, getting up early and watching the sunrise. We talked about yesterday that the circadian rhythm benefits of that, the ramping up of cortisol, that chemically this is happening when you're staring at the sun. It's cueing cortisol to ramp up and melatonin to ramp down. So if you're feeling kind of draggy in the morning, first of all, make sure you're going to bed earlier. That's the first thing, right? Don't be night guy plus morning guy. Pick one or the other. I would suggest pick morning guy. Have night guy just turn in a little bit earlier. And if you're able to do that, you can get up, you can watch the sunrise. It's a beautiful time of day. Not much is happening because most people are not watching the sunrise. And just expose your eyeballs to a little bit of that ultraviolet rays from the sun that will cue all sorts of great hormonal and I believe psychological good processes inside your body. So that's a good thing to do. That's what I do every single day. When I wake up at 5 in the morning, although, especially in the winter months, it's not getting light for a couple hours. And so I got these blue blocker glasses. I got to show you how ugly these things are. I think I had them out a couple days ago to show you, but these things are not really good for your dating life. But, who cares when it's 5 in the morning and I'm wearing these. So they're red light lenses and really kind of thick, nasty goggles. Do I look like Bono of U2? Or I'm dating myself with all of these references today. But so these are called True Dark glasses. Dave Asprey, I think. Yeah, True Dark glasses. I've had these for a while now. And so I try to remember to put these on every single morning and take them off when the sun's rising. I think it helps me sleep. Even if it doesn't, if it's a good placebo, it's working for me. And I haven't been very good about this lately, but because I usually go to bed pretty early. But from the hours of like 6 to 9, where right now it's the sun's gone down and it's dark out, I probably should be wearing these at night, and they will help kind of cue. Again, that's when you want melatonin to ramp up and cortisol to go down. You want those crossfading. And so this is a nice little tool to help you do that. So if I'm going to be watching any kind of screens, by the way, this wasn't an issue, a century ago where everyone was living by candlelight at nighttime. But now we have tons of artificial light, tons of blue light. We have computer screens. We've got screens from our TVs. We've got iPads. We've got video games. We've got phones. I mean, all sorts of assaulting blue light that's telling our brain it's still daylight out. So these kinds of things can help you still do all that kind of fun stuff, eliminating it, of course, and confusing your brain to think, hey, it's nighttime. I get tired when I put these on, by the way. I don't get sleepy in the morning when I have them on, but like at nighttime, again, maybe it's totally anecdotal, or maybe it's just placebo that I'm thinking I'm more tired when I wear these things, but I always sleep better when I use these. So I'm going to keep these out today and get in the habit of wearing them at nighttime. Again, if you're in the dating scene, you might need to find a sexier pair than those things, but those things work really good. Okay, so blue blocker glasses. I always get in the sauna in the morning. Do that for 30 minutes. By the way, in the winter, man, it's a great way to stave off the winter. I don't ever feel like it's winter time when I'm in my sauna and I'm sweating in there for 30 minutes. And then I jump in a relatively cold shower. I'm not a huge biohacker. I've done a couple of cold plunges before, and there's some really great therapeutic benefits for this. But, for most of us and for the people that I work with, that doesn't seem like that's something that we're interested in doing on a regular basis is jumping in ice water. And by the way, if you're like into cold water plunges, a cold shower is one of the worst things to do. To have like a beating, freezing cold rain like pouring on like pinpoint acute places on your body. So I don't recommend that at all. But I'll take a cold shower for about 3 minutes, and where it's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's actually not like terrible. Like in the middle of winter, I'm not putting it on full blast cold, but just enough where I'm like, it's a little bit uncomfortable, and it kind of wakes me up, and it works really, really good. It works better than coffee. But I followed that up with an amazing hot thermos of freshly ground, organic, whole bean coffee, and that is my morning best friend, man. So even after just a quick trip to the sauna and a cold shower and just kind of peeling my butt out of bed kind of thing, that is like super super fun to kind of just like reward myself with coffee. I mean, there are a lot of coffee drinkers in this group, and we love that. But as you begin to think about that, by the way, can we talk about coffee real fast? I don't know if we've talked about. Yeah, I think we probably have, but it's worth mentioning again. Make sure if you're a coffee drinker, you are kicked out of this group if you're drinking like Folgers or Maxwell House or some crappy ass coffee, okay? Make sure if you're a coffee drinker, you're getting really, really good stuff. You deserve it, okay? So make sure that you're getting expensive. While if you love coffee so much, stop drinking the crappy, Keurigs that are just gross tasting, that you have to add a bunch of crap to just to suck those things down. Make sure that you're getting like the most awesome, expensive, wild coffee possible. So I recommend that fully. All right, so coffee happens. After that, it's the 30-minute walk, which I've already talked about, getting some sunrise, getting some fresh air, getting some movement, and that's one of my favorite parts of the day. And then I'll pick up my guitar when I get home and do like 30 minutes of guitar a day. I only do that like 5 days a week, but I get 30 minutes in 5 days a week. And then 8 o'clock, then it's time to get cracking on the today's to-do list. So think about this for a second. If I woke up around like 5 o'clock and I started work at like 8 o'clock in the morning, by the way, 8 o'clock is a good time to start. Like most people who start work at 8, like, hey, that's like a productive day, right? But I've been up for 3 hours investing in myself, and that's an investment. That is an investment to be up 3 hours earlier to start my day and build into myself. But here's the deal: when I open up my laptop at 8 a.m., I'm fresh. I am creative. I feel like I've got something to give, and that's what's been working for me lately. And again, I know this might not be a reality for everybody, and maybe you have kids that get up at 5 in the morning and you're on mom duty like right away. You're gonna have to find some time or some strategies to help with that. Again, it doesn't always have to be in the morning. I highly suggest it, but you gotta find some time somewhere in your day to do this routine, to have that me time. And when I say like me time, I almost laugh thinking about it because I always think of like me time as, I don't know, like bubble baths, and mimosas and mud masks and things like that. Like it's not going to the spa every day. It's just building in that self-care. It's not getting mani-pedis every day. Although that could be part of it. Hey, if you need to drink mimosas in a bubble bath every morning with getting your mani-pedi done, I have obviously no idea what I'm talking about here. But if that is what infuses you with life, so you can tackle the day for yourself and for others, then go for it. But I figured out what I need for me. I need awesome coffee. I need movement. I need that sauna time. I need to enjoy what I do, like playing guitar, for instance. I love doing that. But here's the deal. I always put that off. And a lot of us do. A lot of us put off the thing that we love doing the most because it doesn't feel as important, and because it's like, well, yeah, I enjoy it, so I'll get that done later. I mean, if I don't schedule that in, if I don't get my guitar in, it just never happens. And then consequently, I'll go through a week of not playing guitar because I was so busy and I had so much on my to-do list, and I just went through the days of not doing it. And then I'm kicking myself, and then I'm mad at myself. Like, you say that's important to you. That's a goal that I have, is to get better at my instrument. And it's something I love doing, and you didn't do any of that. And so I feel guilty and then lame, and just like, we don't have to do that. We can go through our days and then prioritizing what we say is most valuable to us, and write this out if you don't know what it is. Write out what is most important to you to accomplish every single day, and the things that you need to do to accomplish those things, and what's Just don't say health is important as an example. By you demonstrating that and blocking time in your schedule, perhaps in the morning, because that's when willpower should be and usually is highest for most of us. When you're blocking that stuff out and when you are prioritizing that first thing in the morning, you're saying to yourself and demonstrating that this actually is important. I'm not just saying that, okay? So, enough about that. Again, no reason to imitate what I do. And this, another tangible way that this manifests itself is so sometimes, and I hear this a lot, like, here's a smoothie recipe because I just don't have time. I'm so rushed in the morning, everything is rush. I got to run out the door. I wake up. But here's what happens for a lot of us is that, and I'm not talking about what Sarah talked about because she said one of her morning routines is to set an alarm. But only when she has to be somewhere that's kind of outside of her schedule. So most days she wakes up like naturally, and that's a really good thing. But aside from that, so many of us just wake up with this blaring like alarm. So we're starting our day with just a blah of like a boatload of stress and anxiety from an obnoxious alarm that wakes us up. And then we're just rushing out the door. So maybe you have 10 minutes to shower and to get your coffee and to run out the door. And it's like, I just don't have time to make a nutrient-dense breakfast or something like that. And a lot of what we want to say we want to do, like, again, if we were applying rule number 1 about always answering the call of hunger with a meal, and if we're applying that funnel approach that we talked about on day 4 or 5, that we will prioritize our breakfast. Okay, we've learned that breakfast is really, really important whenever that breakfast is, whether that's 7 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon or 4 at night or whatever it might be, is that whenever we are breaking the fast, we want to make sure that we are front loading that, filling our gas tank and making sure we get a nutrient-dense meal there. But that ain't going to happen if you're running out the door and you've got 10 minutes just to grab and go. And that's why sometimes smoothies or snack bars or these power bars are so appealing to us because we just don't have time. Like, yeah, you do. But it's probably got to start not with a blaring alarm in the morning. It might just be you got to go way back, The reason it's so hard for so many of us to get up and we need a blaring alarm is because we were up till 2 in the morning. I mean, this kind of makes sense, but sometimes we don't even really think about it. We don't put 2 and 2 together that our nighttime routine is, in a way, probably setting us up for our morning routine. And so our nighttime routine, which we talked a little bit about this when we talked about sleep and how to get great sleep too, but make sure you have a nighttime routine. So when the sun goes down, you got to think to yourself, okay, now melatonin should be kind of kicking in. I should be kind of winding down towards sleep. So that's not the time probably to get on news channels and get more stressed out. It's probably not the time to scroll a lot of social media and to see what this person said to piss you off. And it's not the time to write comments and social media responses to the person that pissed you off so you get all more angry. Probably not the time to fight with your spouse or to yell at your kids. I mean, as much as possible, this is the time to wind down, right? And so throw on those ugly blue blocker glasses. Do what you got to do to wind down and make sure that your evening routine will help your morning routine. So if you go to bed at 8 o'clock, again, maybe not good for your dating social life, but maybe it is kind of good. Maybe you can have like a morning date. By the way, why do we have to always have nighttime dates? Can't we have like a morning date? I'm talking to someone who hasn't dated in decades, but what if we just change the narrative around all that? We did like a morning walk for a date instead of a 2 a.m. bar date or something like that. Nightclubs. Again, I have no idea what I'm talking about here. Don't know what the dating scene's like during COVID-19 anyway, so probably not so good anyway. Probably a great time to change it up. So I'm getting off track. Nighttime routine will really help your morning routine. So if you want to develop a morning routine, if you're buying what I'm selling, if you're saying, yeah, I believe you, Chris, that is important, then maybe look at your nighttime routine as well. Like, I got to get to bed earlier to make sure that I get 8 hours of sleep so I can wake up refreshed. So I'll have maybe, instead of 10 minutes to rush out the door, maybe I'll have 3 hours to prepare an amazing breakfast that's going to set up my metabolism to win for the rest of the day. Maybe I'll do the hobbies or the things that creatively fuel me so I can have more of an output. And who cares if that fuels you all the way through the day and you go to bed at 8 o'clock? I mean, again, I think that's a good strategy. So But whatever it is, whatever your routine is, just make sure it's serving you, and do a hard look in the mirror with that. Sometimes these things are really hard to see in the mirror, but really make sure that you are doing things in your routine, whether that's morning, afternoon, evening, all of these things that are built in. Again, 98% of it is probably automatic. You're not even thinking about. So take a hard look. Maybe take out a journal and write down what you do every single minute. That's a scary proposition to do. Like for a week, do like a time management journal. Because how many of us have ever said, oh, I just don't have time, or I'm just so bad at managing time. Well, the first step in that is just to do a time journal, a time management journal, and just write down everything you do for a week, every single moment. And then you can look back at that and say, man, I sure spend a lot of time on social media. 9 hours a day? I thought it was only about 2. And even 2 I was embarrassed by. But, if you're spending 9 hours a day, like, ooh, that could, maybe you can step back and say, okay, that's too much. And I want to start changing that. So I want to make sure that I'm not turning on social media first thing in the morning and starting my day with 3 hours of FaceTime or Facebook scrolling. So that's a great strategy, just to go ahead and do an inventory, to be honest with yourself, because again, it's really hard to see in the mirror. It's really hard because so much of this is automatic, but just to say, okay, where am I spending my time and how can I change my routine? You don't have to do this all at once. You can just do little incremental bite-sized amounts of this where you begin to say, okay, for the next week, I'm going to build in a strength workout on Tuesdays and Fridays every single week for 20 minutes. I'm going to make sure I go to bed at 9 p.m. every single night. And even if I can't go to sleep at 9 p.m., I'm going to get in the habit of just getting inside the bed and turning off all electronics, putting electronics in a different room, turning off your Wi-Fi, doing these kinds of strategies. Again, that goes back to day number 1, just setting up your environment for success. And that's going to help you not just in areas of diet and exercise, but in just every area of life. And especially as we talk about routines, just setting up your environment to win will do nothing but help you and serve you. All right, let me get to the Facebook comments. There's a couple here I need to read. What did my buddy Kevin Rell say? I was night guy from the day I graduated high school till I was in my mid-20s, working in the restaurant and living the restaurant employee lifestyle. Buttered me out by the age of 24. Now I'm day guy. And to this day, I get mad at myself for sleeping in past 7 a.m. Damn, I'm old. I know, I laugh at how early I get up. I'm like, man, when did I turn into my grandfather? It's like, it's kind of embarrassing, but you know what? Yeah, it's okay. I'm proud of it. And again, I'm not dating, so I don't, but yeah, sometimes I wonder like, wow, how did I turn into morning guy? And by the way, if you're a night guy, you hate all morning people, don't you? They're so annoying, and I don't ever want to be the annoying morning person, but, yeah, and that's, you bring up an interesting point, Kevin. Is like, we really can change. That we maybe you have a graveyard shift and you don't have the option of being a morning guy right now. And so I would just say for that, it's like, maybe work towards getting off of a graveyard shift or something like that, because that's probably not going to be the best for your overall health. You don't want to turn into some vampire, but let's say that's the reality of your life and job. You got to find things that are going to help you work through that. Maybe it's getting blackout curtains or whatever it is, but we can change. That's the thing, don't just too quickly, kind of like what Kevin did, like, I'm just a night person. That's just who I am. And now that's all your identity. Like, I just can't get up in the morning. And every time you do get up in the morning, you feel like crappy just because you're not a morning person. Like, I would challenge you to say, hey, if being more productive in the morning is a goal for you, then what can you do to kind of just slowly change some of that? Again, it doesn't have to be right away, but maybe it's like, okay, I'm going to go to bed 1/2 hour earlier and get up a half an hour earlier. And then maybe the next week you're doing it another half an hour. I mean, after a couple of months, maybe you will be morning guy if you think that would be helpful. I think it would be. You should try it. Josh wears blue blockers also every night. What kind of blue blockers do you have? I've seen some of Josh's Instagram stories with his very sexy blue blocking glasses. Actually, there are better ones than the ones I got as far as sexiness. Josh has got a couple of them. They look like Swannies. Swannix, I think is what it's called. But yeah, they can be kind of orange tinted as well too. And there's a lot of cool looking styles. There's some that are kind of clear. I'm not sure if they're as effective or not, but I think anything that will help block a lot of the blue light spectrum from screens when the sun go down will really help you a lot. Josh, I used to do 30 burpees just to be able to handle a cold shower. Now I'm acclimatized. That's pretty cool. I'm glad you can. By the way, yeah, that's a good strategy is to do a couple warm-ups, a couple push-ups, or anything like kind of strenuous, and then jump in a cold shower, or to get out of a cold shower and then do your 30 burpees or some jumping jacks or something like that. It's just amazing how the blood can get moving and warm you up. Man, this happens every time I'm backpacking. It's freezing cold out. I wake up in the morning and I'm just like frozen solid, so stinking cold. Pack up the camp and I start hiking, and it's like in 5 minutes I'm all warmed up again. So it's just amazing how our body's internal temperature can be regulated through a little bit of exercise. All right, Josh does have Swannies. Right on. That's a great brand. Highly recommend them. Yeah, there's a podcast by James Swannie, which is not talking about this, but James Swanwick, and he's actually talking about drinking, how drinking has ruined your life. I'm not sure if I put that. I did actually put that in one of the emails. So if you want to hear a great, amazing guy, look up James Swanwick, and he talks in an Australian accent, and he's just a really super smart guy and really fun to listen to, and got great health concepts and makes awesome glasses. So make sure you get a pair of those. All right, let me jump on over to YouTube, see if there's any of the YouTubers on there. They're there. They're just being quiet right now. So I think that's it. So, hey, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, gestures, any of that kind of stuff, throw that in these comments or any other post. Remember, it's coming to crunch time, so all that is getting you points. 2 points per comment. 4 points maximum on comments a day, 5 points a day for a post. And I said, hey, if you post what's something about your morning routine, that gets you 5 points. So that's a good way to rack up some points. So would love to hear what that is. And again, anything that you can do to be active in our group will get you points. But hey, it's something that I can also vamp on. So continue to take advantage of that. All right. Well, hey, enjoy the rest of your day. Go get yourself an awesome evening routine tonight and set yourself up for a win tomorrow with a great morning routine. Hope you